This show has been brought to you by FBA Speakers. We hold the diaries for Will Cherland, Anthony Lee and myself, Danny McMillan. If you'd like to book us for your conference or event, visit fbaspeakers.com for more details. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today we bring in Steve Simonson. How you doing, Steve?
I'm well. How's everybody doing?
Excellent, excellent. So in today's episode, we're going to be discussing the new opportunity that Amazon can provide you, where you can get seller support for $3,500 a month, which is what, $42,000 a year. Is that right, Steve?
I think that math holds up. Yes.
Okay, so I think you can understand from my side, I'm probably going to argue against spending $42,000 a year, but that's the whole point of the debate. So I just want to share a quick message that came through the other day to a member of our group. I won't name him or the account manager, but basically what happened is someone came in the other day and told me about this program and told me what the value was, and he was asking various different questions. So I'll share part of the message with you, and you can take it upon yourself as you wish, right? So it says, "Hey, so-and-so, thanks for your response. I'd like to clarify something about the Amazon Marketplace Growth Program, which focuses on your business in 2018. While we do have access to premium seller support team with many years of experience in the quicker path to resolution of cases." So I think what happened is my guy was asking about suspensions here because he's trying to justify doing $42,000 a year. So they're saying the real value of the program is having a dedicated account manager here at Amazon, working with you on your roadmap with all the to reach your business goals, blah, 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 right? So to begin with the program, you would complete a survey, So going down, Marketplace Growth Seller should give you access to a variety of programs and initiatives that the average seller does not. For example, last year's participants in strategic account management, do you love all these long words, had early access to a variety of betas and pilots, such as, wait for it, headline search ads, coupon codes, and Amazon storefronts. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, does not most people get those access?
They do now. They do now. However, in fairness, we often have seen access to the betas early. So in other words, I have examples of guys getting access, 6 months early, a year early. In one case, we had a beta for 2 years before it got released to the general population. Yeah. And so, in fact, there can be some advantage on that side of it, getting a little early run at it.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're right. Now, everybody's got it.
Yeah. So, obviously, getting access to these early stage programs, the invite only, it's just trying to, let's get to that justification. What are you getting for your $42,000, in your opinion? What value?
Yeah, so if I'm looking at it from Amazon's perspective, I'm saying, why does Amazon make this offer? They've got a couple reasons. Obviously, there's a clear financial reason, right? They're in it to win it, and everything that they do with sellers is to figure out how to make money and margin on these sellers. So let's not dismiss the naked financial objective. But I do think that there's an honest and forthright effort on Amazon's part to say, how do we take our game up a notch? How do we actually serve the highest tier of sellers, those who are doing the most volume, with a higher level of support? Yeah. And they tried it last year with the SAM program, Strategic Account Management. Yeah. And it did some stuff, but it wasn't quite right. Some SAMs I know had 100 accounts, which is, it's like, that's not that helpful. So I think they're now trying to retool it, and they're saying, what if we limit it to 25 accounts? Mm-hmm. What if we focus on growth and getting alignment with vendors, or in this case, sellers? Yeah. And so, if you approach it from their perspective, that's their argument for it. Yeah. But let's hear your argument against it.
I've kind of gone into the argument against it. Obviously, people can get early access to these programs that roll out. But, if I'm spending that kind of money, what I want to do is have the opportunity to be heard and protect my business. And especially with things like, protect against suspensions, against the bullshit claims. I'm not talking about real claims. If you've manipulated through reviews and you've done stuff that's wrong, or you've poisoned someone through supplementation of something that you've done, then you've got to hold up your hands and take responsibility for it. But if you've got a bullshit claim against you and Amazon shoots you in the face and asks questions later, that is the opportunity where you should be able to pay for that level of seller support. If there are big sellers out there who are doing really good numbers, maybe they go, yeah, the 42 grand a year is worth it because that what they'll save in avoid getting suspensions or being able to resolve stuff really quick. But when I look at that, I mean, headline and search ads, I mean, most people have access to AMS anyway. Coupons we've been using for years. And I mean, Amazon stores, really? I mean, they look sexy, but really what type of numbers? Where's the data to say that Amazon stores are taking your business next level? It isn't. It's just like a pretty storefront. And I'm sure there are people that are maximizing stores, but across the board, you know, who is, you know, making Amazon stores work for them, that's taking their business up to such a degree that it justifies spending 42 grand a year. So let's also do a bit of quick math. So let's just say that account manager's got 25 people, and 25 people at 42 grand a year. That's just over $1 million. And what are they going to pay them? No more than 100 grand a year. So they're making 900 grand a year out of that. I'm not opposed to making any money, but I'd like them to say, take that 900 grand a year and do something about the interface of Seller Central. When you look at it like the value, you can sell value all day long with corporate speak, but I can't see any value in that 42K. It's lost on me completely. It goes back to the same thing again, you know, let's just say that for 42 grand a year, because there's only so many people going to take on that process. What about giving access to people where they can have conversations with the performance team over something? You know, it's just things like that. And I know that it's very difficult to scale across the whole board, but why not offer something of real value? That's my rent on it there.
Listen, I think that's all very fair, but I would come back at you with a couple points. One is, again, from the Amazon perspective, they're giving examples of things that guys got early to last time. They're not saying headline and you know, whatever the other stuff was, AMS and
Amazon.
Yeah. They are talking about the different coupon program, not the old one-time coupon or that discount methodology. But they're just going, those were examples of stuff guys got early. There are other things at beta now that nobody knows about or very few know about that are happening and could be meaningful. So there are things happening. The other piece is, you know, seller performance is still a black box.
Yeah.
You know, it is very tough to break in there. But I have no doubt, and I have tangible examples of guys being able to pick up the phone to their rep. In this case, it was the SAM rep, and getting somewhere faster than they would have trying to go through the seller support labyrinth, which is a nightmare, as we all know.
Yeah. I
can also say that there are active and ongoing efforts in every one of those categories that you have to try to make the seller experience better.
Yeah.
So there's a massive seller experience team, a 13-story building here in Seattle. The entire team is about enhancing the experience.
Yeah.
One of the meetings I have today in Seattle is I'm going to meet with the development team that's working on making the Seller Central interface better.
Brilliant.
So it's not a question of them saying, we're only going to do one thing. It's a question in my mind. They're looking at it going, how can we do something that's meaningful and tangible in a test way? And then can we scale that, right? And that's how Amazon does stuff. They test it, and then if it works, then they want to scale it. Yeah. And my hope, my legitimate hope, is that they will find a way to make an account management system work that includes all the things that you're asking for. Yeah. The bat phone to seller performance, et cetera, et cetera. But they could still fail. I mean, honestly, I don't know. But for a big seller who's doing, you know, whatever, $1 million a month, $5 million a year, a couple phone calls on Black Friday. I know guys who got shut down, their lightning deals bugged out, or deal of the day bugged down on Black Friday, and having a rep save them. I mean, they lost money while it was bugged out, but it saved them from the whole thing going completely away. So I don't love the idea of having to pay extra, but there's an argument for it in my view.
But then what
in the right case.
You've just backed up. Like, so what I'm complaining about is because going back from the message from the guy from the group, he was obviously asking about suspensions, and the guy's trying to talk away from suspensions and stuff like that. I understand that you another thing is you don't want people going, well, okay, let's just pay 42 grand a year, manipulate, do black hat stuff because we're covered. I didn't mean that in any way either. I'm just thinking is that for the life of me, I can't see the value. So going back to your point on the headline search ads, coupons, and Amazon stores, we reported about that on the show a little while ago because Liran, who comes on the show as a regular guest, got invited to Seattle. He's not in that program. Do you see what I mean? So what they're trying to do is that they say that it's all in, and they might roll it all into that and not ever give access to anyone else from invites and stuff down the line. But it has been available. What I'm saying, it has been available to people outside of the program. Because the other flip side, you could look at, if like we could look at the other side, is that I know that these people are not all working inside there and don't have control, but there are guys that I know that worked at Amazon that do suspension prevention, like Chris McCabe and people like that. And it might actually be cheaper just to pay someone on a retainer, like prevention of suspension, than it would do to pay the 42 grand a year. I just think it's a big stretch. I mean, if you were given an account manager, would you get the opportunity to interview and pick your account manager based on what you feel their knowledge level is? Because you might get someone who's in that position who knows less than you, and it's always a fight to communicate with this person because they don't have a grip of what's going on because they may be new to the department or new to the business and they're not understanding the seller perspective. So you pay 42 grand for someone who can't really do much for you, and you have more knowledge than they do on their own core business. So I'd think you could at least vet who you get for that kind of money.
So I love the idea. I think it's probably impossible from a practicality standpoint. I love a nice wish. Secondly, I will guarantee you every one of your sellers will know more than their rep in terms of the core business. Yeah. That's how Amazon is. When we go to Amazon and we say, here's this issue, that issue, they're like, wow, we never thought of that, never heard of that. And then they try to take it in and figure out what to do with it. Amazon is such a massive beast, hundreds of thousands of employees worldwide, that they don't have the capacity to be as smart as we are in our individual domain. Yeah. But again, my counter argument is, if it's, let's just call it four grand US per month. Yeah. That's, if that's an insurance policy, they're not going to come out unequivocally and say, yes, we got your back on Black Hat or anything else. They don't want to make that promise. But I think it's implied. And in practical experience, it has paid off. I quite agree with you when it comes to, if you got a problem, I would lawyer up. I know, plenty of guys like that. And it's like, don't waste time, just fix it. And lawyers can be highly effective at helping the BS claims. And honestly, they come up regularly, especially around strategic times, Prime Day, holidays, etc. Competitors are using that as offensive measures. And if your scale is adequate, if it's big enough, maybe both things matter, right? Maybe you have both things. I don't like to have to pay for protection for idiotic stuff. And I advocate as often as I can to say, instead of being red light, green light, what if we put in a yellow light? Yeah. What if we were like, go ahead, keep selling, but we want to investigate this. Go ahead, keep selling, and you're not losing money, but we want to verify your identity or what have you. And Amazon is moving that direction. They're moving towards scoring sellers in a sophisticated and comprehensive way, so that guys who are legit, guys who are doing the job right, have history and longevity, are rewarded more than the guys who are kind of Johnny-come-latelys. Suddenly they have 10,000 reviews and 5,000 unshipped items, right? They've got to score it better, and they got to take effective action on those guys. Yeah, most definitely. That's my view. No, so I can't tell you one other story. Go on. So one of the times I was at the Amazon Seller Experience Building is I gave an impassioned speech to them saying, you're trying to get all of the bad fish out of the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. And you're running these nets through the ocean, and there's lots of smelly bad fish in there. But you're catching the dolphins. You're catching the good guys. And we're the dolphins. And stop catching us, right? And they got that. And that message has been passed through And they, even today, they still run around saying, hey, are we hurting dolphins today? So intellectually, they get it.
Hmm.
Systemically, they're not there yet, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say, forgive them. And I'm also not here to say, don't hold them to account.
No,
If
but
you
that's
get
the
a
whole point
sound,
of the debate, isn't
hold
it?
them
We're
to
trying to,
account.
all we're doing is working from two ends of the system. You know, it's like, it's about justification. Should you be using this service? I believe, from what I've said, I put my case forward. You've got information that I've not been privy to, because we don't sit there and rehearse this debate beforehand. But the idea is for our audience to make up their own mind on what they want to do and what the pluses and what the minuses are to go for this service.
Quite right. Yeah. And listen, at the end of the day, every business makes their own choice, right? They have their own perspective. They have their own context of what is important to them. But I would just say this. I'm a very thrifty spender when it comes to things, but I know where I'm going to get ROI. And this, in my mind, has the potential for ROI. It really does.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it from, as I said, you've seen it from the other perspective, that you've got guys, because, I mean, let's quickly chat about it now. You're known as well for, you know, not only building a number of businesses. We didn't touch on this at the beginning of the show, but you put together masterminds. You've got one coming to the UK soon. And some of the guys that were in my mastermind in the UK fly over for your mastermind that takes place. Is it in Seattle twice a year or so?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 times a year in Seattle. Yeah.
4 times a year. Sorry. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I basically, I would just say that, you know, the effort of any mastermind should be to bring members together and let them share best practices, tactics, ideas, strategies, etc.
Yeah.
And that happens, right, in just about any situation. What we try to do is we try to add a little bit of, I would say, an experiential perspective. So I'm old. I've been doing this, you know, this is my 30th year in business. I started in e-commerce in 1998. And so along the way, you learn some lessons, and you got a lot of scars on your back from hard lessons learned. I've wasted millions of dollars doing this and doing that. And our effort with a mastermind event, including the one in the UK, is to say, we're going to try to bring a perspective that is outside and break some paradigms. Instead of people just saying, I'm focused 100% on Amazon, we will say, but what if? What if you looked at something like this? And what if you looked like something like that? And it's not to give you shiny object syndrome. It's, in fact, just to say there's a big world out there. And the more you understand it and the more you prepare for it, the better off you'll be when it comes to exiting and creating equity. And that's really what I love. Entrepreneurs creating equity and wealth.
Gotcha. And so when is this, the one coming up in the UK? Did you say it was March or something?
It is in March. If I try to do the dates in my head, I believe it's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. We're going to meet in the Midlands in a beautiful little place. And I go there often, or I have gone there often in some of my past work. We're going to have a fun field trip to a really amazing e-commerce company to show people, hey, here's a company with a big call center and a big warehouse and 80 plus people, and they do zero business on Amazon. How's that possible? Yeah. And, you know, again, it's all about breaking paradigms. And so I love to challenge the status quo, right? I know that's part of what your show is about, right? You're always like, hey, I'm going to challenge. And I love that. Yeah. And I feel the same way for entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurs, and I want to see them be more successful.
I just think, like, going back to the point, the challenge there is that we've got some amazing podcasts out there that you tell the life stories of the entrepreneurs, but I felt that they're like, especially this year, is that there are a lot of conversations that people have amongst themselves, but it's never kind of addressed in the open. And the idea of the rate and rents or the debates on seller sessions is for people to take on the conversation themselves and debate amongst themselves, because they're always going to be the good and the bad side. But I think it's important that people get a balanced view.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, I think there's a Zig Ziglar quote. He was a famous kind of motivation and sales speaker here in America. He's passed away 5 or 10 years ago now. But, you know, he said it very well, and I kind of live by this philosophy. It's more or less, he says, you can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. Yeah. And I truly have lived that. I believe it. I love to help people. And, you know, the more that entrepreneurs support each other, the more they debate the issue and try to have a real intellectual conversation. You know, real leaders need to be able to challenge their own thoughts, their own bias, and be able to step back and say, am I right or am I wrong? Because your team is far more right than you probably are. I know everybody likes to think we're the smartest, but listen to the people around you.
So what's the best way that people can reach you?
Yeah, so there's two ways. Number one is like we don't have to worry about promotions of masterminds. If you want information about the masterminds, you can go to catalyst88.net/UK,
Yeah.
learn about the UK event. If you just want to like find out who I am and why I'm full of crap, you can go on to stevensimonson.com, STEVEN, Simonson.com, and you can see some of the stuff I do. But I love entrepreneurs. I'm at your service, and anybody who kind of needs help, they reach out. I can't get to everybody instantly, but I'm always trying to help true entrepreneurs, people who are trying to get the job done.
Yeah.
That's part of my life mission.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Stephen, thank you for coming in. We'd love to have you back in the future. Guys, don't forget, if you liked what we do, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.